The Johnsons' home had transformed from a place of haunting terror to a sanctuary of healing, but the shadows of the past still loomed. Determined to understand the malevolent entity fully and prevent its malevolence from spreading further, the family decided to seek help from renowned paranormal investigators. Word had spread about the Johnsons' experiences, and paranormal experts from all around were intrigued by the chance to study the malevolent force known as the Shadow Walker. One particular team, led by the renowned investigator Dr. Elizabeth Bennett, approached the family with a sincere desire to assist. The team arrived at the Johnsons' home, equipped with advanced paranormal detection equipment and an arsenal of knowledge about malevolent entities. Dr. Bennett's team included experts in various fields, from mediums to psychics and historians. After cordial introductions, the investigators set up their equipment, eager to capture any evidence of paranormal activity. They held a seance in an attempt to communicate with the spirits trapped within the house and the malevolent entity that had tormented them. During the seance, the medium connected with the lingering spirits, attempting to help them find peace and cross over to the other side. A sense of solemn tranquility settled over the room as the medium relayed messages of love and reconciliation to the tormented souls. As they delved deeper into the history of the house, the investigators discovered that the malevolent presence had once been a human soul named William, who had been consumed by darkness and vengeance. He had become a vessel for the malevolent force known as the Shadow Walker, amplifying its malevolence. The team theorized that William's anger and pain had drawn the malevolent entity to the house, and the Shadow Walker had used him to perpetuate its malevolence, creating a cycle of haunting that spanned generations. Dr. Bennett explained that malevolent entities often feed off negative emotions, growing stronger with every soul they torment. The family's act of forgiveness had weakened the Shadow Walker, but the presence of William's tormented soul was still attracting malevolent energy. As the investigation continued, the psychic members of the team sensed a powerful energy emanating from a hidden chamber within the house. Emily, Mark, and Sarah were surprised to learn that a secret room existed, as they had explored the house thoroughly, but never found it. Guided by the psychics, they discovered a concealed passage behind a bookshelf, leading to a small chamber with ancient symbols etched into the walls. It was apparent that this room had been a focal point for the malevolent rituals performed by the previous inhabitants. Within the chamber, the psychics sensed William's lingering presence. His tormented soul seemed trapped, unable to find peace and escape the clutches of the malevolent entity that controlled him. Driven by compassion, Emily reached out to William's spirit, her heart filled with empathy for his suffering. She spoke words of understanding, acknowledging his pain and sorrow. Slowly, the energy in the room began to shift as if the darkness was being challenged by the light of compassion. In a heart-wrenching moment, William's spirit materialized before them, his ethereal form trapped in a state of torment. But as Emily continued to extend her compassion, she felt a flicker of hope within William's spirit, a chance at redemption. Dr. Bennett suggested that a ritual of cleansing and release might help free William from the malevolent entity's grip. With the family's support, the ritual commenced, invoking ancient incantations and sacred symbols to break the malevolent connection that held William captive. As the ritual unfolded, an ethereal light enveloped the chamber, and the energy within seemed to shift and purify. William's spirit slowly transcended the torment, as if he were stepping out of the shadows and into the embrace of redemption. With a final surge of energy, the malevolent entity that had bound William to darkness dissipated, leaving only a sense of peace in its wake. William's spirit had found release, and the malevolence that once tormented him was no more. As the investigation concluded, Dr. Bennett and her team praised the Johnsons for their bravery and compassion, acknowledging the significant impact their actions had on the malevolent force. The investigators departed, leaving the family with a sense of closure and a newfound understanding of the complexities of malevolent entities. In the days that followed, the Johnsons felt a renewed sense of hope and healing within their home. The once cursed house had transformed into a place of strength and compassion, a sanctuary where love and understanding triumphed over darkness. The shadows of the damned might linger, but the Johnsons knew that they had faced the malevolent entity and helped a tormented soul find peace. They understood that while malevolence might never be fully vanquished, the power of compassion and forgiveness would always shine brighter. dispelling the darkness one act of love at a time. With the malevolent entity finally banished and William's spirit finding peace, a sense of relief washed over the Johnsons. The haunting incidents ceased, and the house felt more like a home than ever before. However, there was still one lingering question. What had caused the malevolence to take root in the first place? Determined to uncover the house's dark past and the origins of the malevolent force, the Johnsons resumed their investigation. They returned to the town's archives, searching for any historical records or documents that might shed light on the malevolent entity's origins. As they delved deeper into the town's history, they discovered a series of tragedies that seemed to be connected to the malevolent presence. The house had once belonged to a prominent family, the Montagues, whose fortunes had taken a sharp decline. The Montague family's patriarch, Richard Montague, had been a cruel and ruthless man, driven by greed and ambition. He had been involved in shady business dealings and was rumored to have betrayed many of his associates. As the Johnsons continued their research, they learned of a long-forgotten curse that had been placed upon the Montague family by a vengeful adversary. The curse spoke of a malevolent force that would consume the Montagues, leaving their souls forever tormented. The curse had been cast by a reclusive woman named Esmeralda, who had been wronged by Richard Montague. She had dabbled in the occult and tapped into dark forces to exact her revenge, invoking the malevolent entity known as the Shadow Walker to carry out her bidding. The malevolent force had claimed the Montague family, driving them to madness and despair. The house had become a focal point for dark rituals and malevolent practices, feeding the malevolence that took root within its walls.
The Johnsons realized that the malevolent force had been drawn to the house by the lingering echoes of the Montague family's malevolence and the curse placed upon them. Over the years, it had preyed upon the emotions and negative energy of those who resided within the house, perpetuating its malevolence across generations. As they delved further into the town's history, the Johnsons uncovered a connection between the Montague family and Eleanor Blackwood, the tormented soul whose journal they had found. Eleanor had been Richard Montague's daughter, and her family's tragic end had been intertwined with the malevolent entity's presence. With each revelation, the Johnsons felt a growing sense of responsibility to break the cycle of malevolence that had plagued the house for centuries. They understood that they had not only confronted the malevolent entity, but also had a role in breaking the curse that bound it to the house. Armed with this newfound knowledge, the Johnsons decided to perform a ritual of cleansing and purification on the house. They sought guidance from a local expert in ancient rituals and worked tirelessly to create a ceremony that would sever the malevolent entity's ties to the house. As the ritual commenced, the house seemed to come alive with energy, the walls vibrating with echoes of the past. The Johnsons chanted incantations, invoking the power of light and purity to cleanse the house from the malevolence that had plagued it for so long. With each word spoken, a sense of catharsis washed over the Johnsons. It felt as if the malevolent force was slowly being purged, its grip on the house weakening with every passing moment. As the ritual reached its climax, a blinding light filled the house, dispelling the darkness that had plagued it for generations. The Johnsons felt a weight lift from their shoulders, as if a burden had been lifted from their souls. As the last traces of the malevolent presence dissipated, the Johnsons knew that they had broken the curse that had bound the malevolent entity to the house. They had confronted the dark past and found redemption for the tormented souls that had once suffered within its walls. In the days that followed, the house felt lighter and more welcoming than ever before. The Johnsons had not only found healing for themselves, but also had liberated the house from the malevolence that had haunted it for centuries. With the dark past revealed and the malevolent entity banished, the Johnsons looked forward to a future filled with hope and possibility. The shadows of the damned might still linger in the recesses of the house, but they now knew that they held the power to dispel the darkness and bring light to even the darkest corners of their lives.